Who here has gone to college? Raise your hand. Who here works in the field that you study? Raise your hand. Not so many of you, you're the lucky ones. Like so many young people, I went to college and I got a degree that I couldn't use. I had no skills and I was lost, and all I had was a mountain of debt and no way to pay for it. But I was diligent, and I said, you know what, let me go get a book on Microsoft Office. And within the span of about 2 weeks, I read this book, and I had skills that were marketable. I became an office temp. And I did this for a couple of years until I was hired full-time by one of my clients. This was one of the most prominent architectural firms in Manhattan. And the person who hired me was the CFO of this company. And I didn't know it at the time, but Jeffrey would become one of the most influential mentors I've ever had. Now let me put this into perspective for you. Imagine, if you will, this architectural firm took up an entire floor of a building in Manhattan, and there were 80 architects all sitting at cubicles across this floor. Well, when I was hired, Jeffrey had his own office, and instead of putting me at a cubicle out with the architects, he split his office in half, and I sat next to him at his desk. And I thought this was an operational thing, that they didn't have room with the architects. But what I realized in retrospect was that this was for my benefit. See, Jeffrey followed a very similar path to my own. He went to school for fine art. And when he couldn't get a job as an artist, he did what anybody would do. He studied finance and became a success. So when I sat next to Jeffrey, he was able to teach me, to motivate me, to inspire me, to help me become a much more valuable employee at this company. With his skills in artwork, I learned graphic design, I learned finance, I learned how to do bookkeeping. I learned all of these skills so that I became such a valuable employee that when the company laid off half of their staff, I survived. And I got all of the responsibilities of 3 or 4 other people in my department in addition to my own. And I did a good job, but I was miserable. I was miserable because with all of this responsibility, I didn't get a pay increase. So I said to Jeffrey, I'm like, dude, I need a raise. You gave me all of this work and I'm not getting any more money. Help me out. And he said, no, I can't do that for you. I just laid off half the company. There's no way you're getting more money. But he must have seen the look in my eye, this look of despair, that I had nowhere to go. I had this lousy job with all this responsibility and no money to show for it. So he said, look, I'm going to talk to you as a friend, not as your boss. Let me tell you my story. Whenever I reached a plateau at another company, I left. I went on interviews and I found a job somewhere else. And every time I made a jump, I saw more money, I saw more responsibility, and a greater title. And now I'm the CFO of one of the biggest architectural firms in Manhattan. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I realized for the first time that I wasn't trapped, that I had power to do whatever I wanted to do, and I had all of these choices because I learned all of these skills working at this job. So I did what Jeffrey did. I went out and I interviewed all over the place, all of these different companies, but nobody hired me. I was a lousy interviewee. But I had the right mindset. And I said, you know what? If nobody's gonna hire me, I'm gonna hire myself. So I got a friend, and we started an e-commerce company. We built this business together. And within 6 months, I was able to leave my job and do my business full time. Now, I left on very good terms. And in fact, I consulted for the architect for a long time after I left, and they paid me a lot better than when I was an employee. So I did this for a couple of years. And eventually, my friend and I sold our company. And after we sold it, I pursued a career in digital marketing. And like Jeffrey, over the past 20 years, I mentored dozens of people, teaching them what I know. And the feeling that I got helping these people find purpose in life was immeasurable. So what I would say to all of you is get into a mentoring relationship. Find a mentor somebody else. Find a friend who's got overlapping skills and mentor each other. The feeling that you get is immeasurable. You will feel more successful, and all of the people around you will be more successful too.